Tonight on Localite with John Compton, Laura Burlus shares the many expressions of her creative spirit as an author, toy company owner, wedding venue owner, and humanitarian. Laura's eclectic, imaginative body of work is an inspiration to many. Laura recently ran for Mrs. Oregon International to raise awareness for the Oregon Youth Challenge program. All of that and more tonight on Localite.
Laura, I want to just go back in time. I want to just kind of start out when you were a little girl and your family, and tell me a bit about that experience, that growing up experience.
Well, growing up I have all older siblings. I have two that are a lot older, and then I have a sister that's closer in age. So my parents said they had like two separate sets of families.
Yeah.
Even though, we were so separated by our ages, we're still really close, and the whole family gets together, and aunts and uncles and cousins and grandparents all together in the same house pretty much almost weekly.
Really? So everybody lives relatively close then?
Yeah.
That's great. So all around the Troutdale area, or?
Well, Troutdale, Portland, and Vancouver, Washington.
Okay.
So
okay. So is that where
close,
you
but not super close.
Yeah, just enough distance. It can't be too close.
Right.
So what about high school? Did you go to high school in Troutdale?
No, I actually was born and raised in Portland.
Okay.
So I just moved to Troutdale when I started the Troutdale house.
Okay, okay. Which I do want to talk to you about in some length, because that place is pretty amazing. But tell me about Miss Oregon. How did you get involved with that? Because you were just in the most recent pageant, right?
Right. It was in February, the end of February, and I got into it's actually the Mrs. Oregon International.
Mrs. Oregon,
There's
you.
Separate pageant systems. You gotta make sure you say it.
I know, I just don't stay up on that stuff like I should.
Right. So I joined the pageant system because I wanted to promote the Oregon Youth Challenge program, which I'm a mentor to my niece who went through the program, and it's in Bend, so it's not too far from you guys, but a lot of people don't know that program exists.
Right.
And it really helps families who have kids who are between the ages of 16 to 18 years of age who've dropped out of high school and are just kind of falling behind through the cracks, so they can go through this program and they get back on track to graduate and then go back to school and finish, or they graduate right from the program.
Oh, okay.
And it's set up by the Oregon National Guard, so they run it military style,
Really?
which is really good for the kids.
Uh-huh.
But they're not mean, they're just direct.
And are most of the kids that are in that, they need that sort of a structure because that's been lacking in their life?
Right.
Yeah.
And the success rate for the kids when they graduate or go through the program, they're 80% success rate. So
Really?
They become productive members of society rather than feed off the system because they dropped out. And of course, it's hard to get a job when you don't have a diploma.
Right.
So
right.
it really gets them back on track.
So how long do they go through the program generally?
It's 5 months.
5
months in the school, but for a mentor like myself, it's the whole time they're in the program plus a year after. So
Okay.
I keep in contact with her to make sure she's keeping her goals and keeping on track and not just sitting at home slacking. She's getting a job or she's going to school.
Right.
And everybody gets a mentor, but that's part of the program that is lacking, is sometimes it's hard for these kids to find mentors. And they need that in order to even get into the school.
Okay, so they have to have a mentor before they can even be enrolled.
Right.
Okay, so and is the mentor somebody that they get assistance in helping find? Because some of these kids, I would assume, don't have a loving aunt that might have time
Right.
and be willing to do that. So
Yeah, some of them are teachers.
Okay.
Some of them are people from the military, just somebody who wants to step up to the plate. Some of them they don't know hardly at all. They're just strangers that want to help. And so they sign up and they meet with them when they're actually in the program, and they write letters every month when they're in the program, and then they watch them graduate from the program or move on to go back to school and finish their diploma at their local high school.
Okay, so they can actually graduate with their class and
Yeah.
do all of that. Okay, 80%, that's awesome. That's
Yeah,
a huge
it's really
success
high.
rate.
And they're actually national, but a lot of people don't know they really exist.
Right.
So they also need funding. People could donate to the program because they have to turn away hundreds of kids because they just don't have room. Like for the girls unit, they only take like 36 girls. And the guys, they take around 100.
Okay.
I think, 100, 150, somewhere in there because they have more space for them.
Okay.
But they really need to build more schools so they can take in more people. And of course, that all takes funding.
Yeah, yeah. And so this was close to your heart because of because of your niece.
Yeah.
Was
and
she the one then that actually introduced you to it then?
Yeah, actually.
Okay.
She found it online herself and thought, I need to do that, because high school she had this really bad friendship. Well, it was a good friendship, but it ended, so it just kind of devastated her best friend on her senior year, so that's why she dropped out.
Oh.
And then the other schools she was going to were not very safe.
Yeah, yeah.
So she just kind of left high school and was like, well, what do I do now? And college was too expensive to finish high school because you have to pay for the credits.
Right.
And this program is free.
And so, which is awesome. And so the Mrs. Oregon, did I say that right?
Yes,
Okay.
Mrs. Oregon International.
Mrs. Oregon International. So that, your involvement with that then was in an effort to raise funds or awareness for this program.
Yeah.
How did that work out?
It worked out really well. I joined the pageant system. I was in it for, well, about a year and 4 months, I think. Pretty early on, like right when the other one ended, I joined.
Okay.
So it was quick. But
What's that? What's it like getting into a pageant? Where do you start? What happens? I mean, you hear about them obviously all the time, but what's involved?
Well, you apply online, so you fill out this questionnaire, and you have to have a platform, which was great because my platform is the Oregon Youth Challenge program, so that's what I promote, because they want to know what you're going to promote. Why are you in this pageant? It's not just about, look, I'm pretty.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what I really liked about it. It's all these women have this drive and passion, like, it's like diabetes awareness or, breast cancer, all these things, and they go around in the community and talk about it. And when you compete, you get to talk about that on stage, which of course goes out to a lot of people, and as you're promoting it, they have little events that you do. One of them was for heart health, and so you meet all these people and you get to talk about what your platform is. And I have not met anyone that says, oh yeah, I know the Oregon Youth Challenge program. They're all like, what is that?
Mm-hmm. So you really got to bring it to them firsthand and really expose them to something new.
And they were excited because they had kids that needed it, so they're like, sign us up.
Yeah. So it was that. Do you think that was the majority of the women that were involved in the pageant were doing this for other reasons outside of just competing in a pageant, like you said, just to look pretty and all of
right.
that? These were women that were
wearing the gowns is always
purpose.
fun, but yeah.
And
it's always with a purpose. And some of them weren't really so much for their platform as they were to just become more outspoken and work on their self-esteem.
Got it. Okay.
And the fitness part of the program is not a bikini, it's workout wear, so nobody has to feel like, okay, because most of these women, actually all of them but me, have had babies. So if you've had children, you have stretch marks and you don't want to wear a bikini.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I liked that too, that they could wear things that covered up their stomachs and not have to go out there prancing around with stretch marks.
Yeah. So like in high school and stuff, then this was never really a goal for you. Would you do it again?
I've thought about it, but I have so many other adventures going on.
Yeah.
I don't think I have time.
You don't have time, yeah. But it was a positive experience with a very positive purpose and cause, which is awesome.
And
so
it was fun.
Yeah, that's great. Well, tell me then, how did that play into your interest in becoming an author and writing children's books?
Writing children's books actually happened way before the pageant.
Before?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was taking an environmental science class in college, going to school for interior design.
Really?
I didn't actually end up graduating. I'm like 5 credits away, which is ridiculous. I didn't finish, but now I'm doing other things.
Yeah.
So I was taking this class because they want everybody to be well-rounded. And I was like, wow, they make you log a journal of everything you do every day, and then you get to educate on what you're doing that's actually hurting the environment. And I thought, wow, these are things that I didn't even think of. Mm-hmm. And I thought, boy, how can I help and get this message out there? And I'm not a writer. I'm not good at writing. I just felt compelled to do this. And I thought, well, kids, you have to start with kids. That, everything happens to the younger generation. That's who needs to be educated now so they can start fixing everything.
Right.
And realizing, don't throw that can in the garbage, recycle it.
Right. Yeah, and your book, which we'll talk about in the second segment a bit more, kind of gives in a very whimsical, relatable, fun way, sort of, like bottles floating on the, skimming along on the bottom of the ocean and stuff like that. You forget, and especially kids, we're such a disposable society. Everything can be thrown away. So I want to talk more about the book when we come back, and we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Still to come,
I actually wanted to do that when I was 9 years old. My oldest sister got married and I was a flower girl. I was just like, wow, this is so cool.